I'm Vic Myers. Welcome to the Resistance and the Resistor Vic Podcast. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about flagpoles, and I'm going to speak with one of my favorite artists on Anywhere, Billy Simons Jr. Then I will tell you about my next guest for next week. Some of you know him as Kyle I, PhD. So first off, how about them flagpoles? There's so much going on in the last week or so that maybe a lot of you missed the flagpole story. And it's really amazing that with Iran and Israel throwing boomers at each other and all of the other horrible stuff going on in the world, and then squeaky tanks and massive protests, with everything that's going on in the world, what is the felon talking about? He's talking about how he's installing 2 orange flagpoles. Well, here's something maybe you don't remember. He had this foundation called the Trump Foundation. And, he can't run that foundation in New York anymore. Him and his family are all barred from running charities in New York, in part because of the Trump Foundation. He used $258,000 out of that foundation to pay legal settlements. One of those legal settlements was to this city right there where Mar-a-Lago is, because he put up a humongous flagpole against the zoning for that. And he didn't get a permit and all kinds of stuff. And he was racking up over $1,000 a day in fines. And so what's Trump do all the time when he's wrong? He sues the person who's telling him he's wrong. So they had a great big lawsuit going, and he used the Trump Foundation money to pay off over $100,000 to settle his lawsuit. So that was what I thought of when I started hearing about how he's so bored that he wants to entertain us with putting up flagpoles on the White House. But that's not the main reason we're here tonight. We're here to talk with Billy Simons Jr. In the 1800s, abolitionists used songs like Go Down Moses as coded messages for escaping slavery. In the early 1900s, coal miners sang Which Side Are You On while fighting for dignity and fair wages. And in the 60s, we had Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Buffalo Springfield, and many others making songs about civil rights, war, and justice. And today we have Billy Simons. Welcome, Billy.
Hey there. I'm so nice to finally be speaking with you, Vic. I mean, we've been chatting with each other over social media for the last few months. It's the first time we're actually talking to each other. So this is great.
It's going to be the highlight of my week for sure. So tell us, who is Billy Simons Jr.? I remember reading something that you put in a comment or something somewhere about you used to be in the corporate world.
Yeah, well, it's funny. We unfortunately for where we are with respect to a president, I used to work in commercial real estate. I lived in New York for 15 years and sold apartment buildings and office buildings and things like that. And was always moonlighting with creative works. It was an effort to move out of corporate work. And so we moved somewhere where the cost of living wasn't so high, and we were able to focus on kind of quality of life a little bit more. And so since then I've been a full-time creative or part-time creative, and then full-time parent. So the place I've gotten to now is getting to spend as much time as possible with both my family and music. Did not have the intention of it turning into protest music, because I didn't have the intention of being in the situation that we're in right now. But we had a family situation where it got personal, right? There was when religious beliefs conflict with kindness. And so we had a wedding in the family that other members of the family were not going to be happy to go to. And that's where I sat down and kind of in the quiet of the basement, without planning on sharing the song with anybody, wrote Jesus Went to Heaven, and then put it on TikTok. And then it slept for a couple weeks. And then one day just kind of picked up traffic. And then it kind of started snowballing from there, to the point where one day I was like, this song that you didn't know that I wrote kind of got like 100,000 views in like the last day. And you should know this now. So let's talk about it. It's about Christian nationalists. And it kind of snowballed from there. And it's coming into.
What did your relatives think about it?
You can't do this stuff without ruffling feathers, can you?
No.
So the relatives who it's about have heard it. They've heard it played live. We haven't really spoken many words about it, but it has certainly created tension within the family, as doing this stuff does all the time. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way. I would imagine we all have people in our lives who are across the spectrum, politically, not the autism spectrum. And when you take on politics like this, it is part of your identity. And
I don't know if I'm the norm or the exception, but I have cut people out of my life, relatives and friends, over all this. I mean, if you're supporting what's going on right now, you're against everything that I believe in. You're supporting the decimation of my children and grandchildren's future. So I have no problem cutting you out. It's like I didn't pick my relatives.
And I've certainly lost a few. I've lost a few. I will. That would be dishonest to say otherwise. Where it gets confusing is there are, those people whose politics are very complicated and on every other level seem like they have the best intentions for themselves and their families and humanity, but still cross my wires on this one. I can't explain it. But the point is, you make a choice at some point of going, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with getting cut out of people's lives or having to do the opposite thing, because this is the thing that I believe in. I do believe it's important. And I do think that critical errors are being made on a regular basis. And supporting that is one thing, but not fighting against it is a different thing.
Absolutely. One day your kids, my grandkids will hopefully look back and say, you know what, Dad was on the right side, or Grandpa was on the right side.
This is what I said. I say this quite a bit. It's like perhaps the most stressful thing about it is I'm on a daily basis, because I'm with my kids so much, trying to emphasize to a 4-year-old and an almost 6-year-old the importance of kindness and decency. And so to be in a place every single day where it seems like a big chunk of people are excusing that entire idea, it makes your socks roll up and down. I don't know.
Oh, I'm very fortunate that my kids have followed mine and my wife's ideas about kindness, and they're teaching that to their grandkids, or to their kids, my grandkids, and I feel fortunate there. You wrote a book in there somewhere.
Yeah. So during the first Trump presidency, as COVID set in, I thought of, okay, we're going to enter something that no one's entered before, and we're going to look back at this at some point, and I don't want to look back and regret how I behaved during this time, or how I thought, or whatever the things that I did. I want to feel like that was I just you don't want to be disappointed in how you behaved under stress, right? And so with a 6-month-old brand new baby, our first kid, I was home a lot, and so took on the project of starting to write a poem a day with an illustration. I'd always wanted to do something kind of like this, sort of like a Shel Silverstein.
So you did the drawing anthology in that book too?
Yeah, and so I sat down and it wasn't every single day, but it was many days out of a week. And would sit down and write a poem. Most of them, many of them were political or current events related, and some of them were not. Some of them were just like, I need a day off. I need to take a step back. I'm sure you feel the same way with things like this, where you're just like, I need to unplug for a minute. So I'm going to write a ridiculous thing about waffles, because I can't write again about Kofifi, whatever. And so I was posting that to social media, and that started to catch on a little bit. And then I had someone approach me saying, what if we kind of turn this into a book? Is that something you'd be interested in doing? And so we went the self-publishing route and ended up, with this guy here, which is glowing quite a bit. But it's called Earth Is Not a Planet. And
I'm going to take this opportunity to brag that I have a signed and inscribed Billy Simons Jr. Earth Is Not a Planet copy.
Thank you.
Very proud of that.
It was cool, because back then I don't know if we sold 500 or 600 of them back then in 2020. But then because of you, among other people, like spreading word about some of the songs and everything else, people have been buying them again off my website, which has been cool. I'm always happy
it's a good book.
Going out.
It's a fun book.
But it was much like writing songs. It's part therapy, and it's the other part is, if you're like, if if one person's eyes can be opened at least a little bit to some of it, because for the most part, the thought going into a lot of the songs and some of these poems is like, the things that are going on are so absurd, you don't even have to make jokes about them. You just have to repeat what's happening. And it's fucking absurd. Excuse me. I don't know if I can say that, but it's absurd. And so...
Like flagpoles?
Like flagpoles. I mean, that was why there was a song I wrote a couple of months ago, which was "We Are Great Again," right? And it was just like it's basically just listing the insane things that are happening every day.
He's definitely making it easy for you.
It's and sometimes it's too absurd, and you get locked up. Like when he and Elon had their little spat, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. The reality is more absurd than anything I can do with it.
What is your favorite genre to create in?
So folk Americana is like my favorite style. So the people that are my favorites, my all-time favorite is John Prine. And I mean, other guys that are kind of off of that are still like Paul Simon, there's Jim Croce, James Taylor, Harry Chapin. Storytellers are by far my favorite. And that's if I was going to say a genre type, it's storytelling. Because another favorite, not just for illustrations and poems, but also for songwriting is again, Shel Silverstein, who was just an incredible Nashville songwriter and just had a way of telling stories that make you listen and just want to know what's going on. Even if you don't like the style of music, you want to know the story.
Yeah. One of my favorite songs that you did is Drill Baby Drill. And from the title, it sounds like it's a parody or making a joke about Trump. But when you listen to the words, it ain't so funny.
No, that's it. There's a quote about John Prine, which is that he can make you laugh and cry in the same sentence. And it's something I aspire to all the time, of like trying to figure out where the line is with these things between, like, all this stuff is incredibly serious. But that doesn't mean that everything has to be sad to listen to, because I played a show a few months ago, and playing 2 or 3 protest songs in a row feels heavy. The room feels heavy when you do that. You can't just sit in that the whole time. It's got to be lightened up a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, finding when something is low and you need to take it high, or when it's high and you need to take it low, it's an ongoing process. And I'm really excited about having.
So is this the first time you've been on a podcast?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's so much easier, Vic.
I'm just sitting here thinking that when you are like Bob Dylan big, I get to say I was the first guy that interviewed him on a podcast. So that's going to be cool for me.
I appreciate it. It's so cool what you're doing, and
my grandkids would be like, "You don't know him."
I have video proof.
So I would be remiss because I know that a lot of the people who watch my social media channels also like Billy Simons Jr. And if I didn't ask you if you wanted to play something,
I'd love to.
They would be mad at me. So yeah, I'm here for it if you are. That's
perfect timing. About 2.5 weeks ago, put out an album called Now That We've Solved Everything. And it is a collection of 11 protest songs or folk songs that are all current events. And so,
do you consider your stuff protest?
I don't know. No, not. I mean, like, protest songs to me feel more like something that people can get together and sing together. And it's like I have nothing. If someone wants to call them that, great. They're certainly not in support of the administration, but I don't know if that makes them protest songs. I don't know. What do you? I was asking you the same thing.
Do you think Buffalo Springfield would have said that For What It's Worth is a protest song?
I would think they would. Do you think they would?
I don't know, but to me, it's a great protest song.
It is a great protest. I've saying the same thing about CCR, like the Fortunate Son. I mean, those songs are they're so much more poetic because they're not these heavy-handed things that just say, hey,
Yeah,
jackass, listen to this, right? It's
I'm
like,
not laughing at you. You said Fortunate Son, and I immediately thought about that plane during that pathetic parade the other day. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no, it's
set you
okay.
off track.
This whole preamble is based on the fact that tomorrow there's another song coming out, which is called "The Bottom Has a Basement." Um, and so I figure I'll play that one. But this is one of those ones that was kind of, the line of it came from a friend of mine in a text message at one point when something that the administration was doing came out, and I got a text saying from him, apparently the bottom has a basement. Here we go. This is called, when the bottom has a basement. When I opened up my telephone, the headlines weren't so great. Spending lives to save $1 and then asking God for change. Cutting funding from the institutions keeping us alive. And a birthday's not a party, not until the tanks arrive. And the smallest man alive is whining, wishing he was big. If you thought we hit the bottom, get your shovel and let's dig. 'Cause the bottom has a basement, and in case you didn't know, that basement has a cellar and a lot of floors below. There's a dungeon buried under, but how deep God only knows. Every day we scrape the bottom, every day we reach new lows. Then 2 businessmen go walking on the Gaza Strip at night, and they come upon a child starving and holding up a sign. When they read it, they both see that it says Free Palestine. And they say, that's quite a price, since you've offered, now it's mine. And the smallest man alive is whining, wishing he was big. If you thought we hit the bottom, get your shovel and let's dig. 'Cause the bottom has a basement, and in case you didn't know, that basement has a cellar and a lot of floors below. There's a dungeon buried under, but how deep God only knows. Every day we scrape the bottom, every day we reach new lows. I was high outside a Sturgill show and pretty down on life. I was waiting in the beer line, that's when I met Jesus Christ. He was 3 sheets to the wind, you know it nearly blew my mind. I said, dear God, can't you help us? He said, I already tried. And the smallest man alive is whining, wishing he was big. If you thought we hit the bottom, get your shovel and let's dig. 'Cause the bottom has a basement, and in case you didn't know, that basement has a cellar and a lot of floors below. There's a dungeon buried under, but how deep God only knows. Every day we scrape the bottom, every day we reach new lows.
I know there's a way on this app to do the applause and if I can find it, I'm going to. And at the risk of creating a bad pun, that was deep.
Hey, thanks. Hey, there you go. Um, I've had this weird thing happen over the last couple of months, especially, where it seems like the more time something takes to write, the worse it comes out. And that the things that I like the most, or the things that people respond to the most, happen very quickly. And I read Willie Nelson's got an awesome autobiography. that I read last year, and one of the things he wrote in it that I kind of held on to is that if a song is fighting you too much, to just let it go.
Yeah.
And it's been fun with some of these TikTok songs because, especially, I mean, little silly things like I wrote a song about tacos and tariffs.
I got a good laugh out of that.
Thank you.
Sure, your kids don't get the political nuances of your lyrics, but what do they think about dad making songs all the time?
Well, so my son's 6th birthday is coming up, and the thing he wanted is a keyboard. So we got him like a big red Casio keyboard because he's been learning Crazy Train, which is fun. My son thinks it's cool. My daughter who's 4, acts like anytime I take the guitar out, she's like, no. But meanwhile, my son was actually walking around today going, "At the bottom has a basement, and in case you didn't know." I was like, that's kind of funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I said, it's the fact that people are listening to it and expressing any sort of comfort from like having a community of people that feel like maybe we're not insane is kind of a driving force here. Cause, yeah, it's easy to overdo it and just drive yourself nuts.
Well, I want you to know I'm extremely jealous. I got zero artistic talent anywhere.
Your own art form is here, and it's working. It's like
I'll take that. I'll take that if that's what I can get. I wrote a few poems for my wife, and a couple of them weren't terribly bad, but
it's hard. It's you're putting yourself out there. I mean, that is one of the things about especially writing political music. It's already putting yourself out there enough to be like, hey, I have feelings and an idea, and I'm going to try and show you something. And now you're like, and I also have political beliefs. And to not get people to go, go away. It's like.
Now is not the time to be quiet about our political beliefs.
I concur 100%. And there have been a handful of times where I finished writing a song and I'm like, okay, that's it. That's no more political songs. I'm going to go back to writing songs about other things. And then can't help it. Yeah. It's just like, it's just like, it takes one comment of someone being like, hey, this really helped me with dealing with whatever today. And you're like, all right, on we go.
That's what keeps me going is the people who come into my comments and say kind things like that. Like, I got my son to register to vote because of what you said or something like that. And I'm like, all right, I got to keep doing this.
Well, I mean, that's what's incredible about what you do is that, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but with music, there's a little bit of a gimmick, right? It's like, it's entertaining. It's what you're doing it with the hardest way, which is just words. And that's to be able to captivate people that way is an art form.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. But the challenging thing about doing it this way, where you're writing about things that feel so meaningful or important to you, is that I listen to a lot of other music that is just kind of like pop stuff, which is fun to listen to. And I'm like, why would you even write this song? What? And obviously, I at the same time, I get jealous.
Whether you're inspiring people with the actual words that you're using in your music, or whether you're just giving somebody an escape from all of this craziness, I feel that it's an invaluable contribution.
Thanks. Yeah,
we need it.
Yeah, I'm glad other people are enjoying it because it helps me. So if it helps anybody else, then it's not totally selfish.
You just gave me an idea. Everybody who's listening, watching this podcast or listening to the podcast, everybody, we need to write to get Billy on Kimmel and or Colbert. And I think if enough of us send an email saying, why haven't you had Billy on yet?
I would love that. Thank you. That's it's been really cool. So with the album coming out when it did, part of you get all the data on from Spotify as far as who's listening to what and where that's coming from. And there's been a significant uptick, which is still just new to me. Yeah.
Where are all the places that people can hear your music?
Sure. Everything that I put out goes on all the streaming services. So it's on Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music and YouTube Music and every other place like that. I also have a Bandcamp website, which is if you just Google Billy Simons Jr. and Bandcamp is a site where you can either stream or download my songs. Some people are super kind to ask, where do you make the most money if I buy your music? and it's Bandcamp. But as long as people are listening, that's the main goal. It's impossible to make any money.
And sharing. Don't just listen, share it.
Listen and share. And so, it's Spotify and Apple Music are by far the two places where people are listening the most. But it's on there. It's on YouTube. I'm on Blue Sky, and regularly trying to figure out where else we need to be to reach as many people as possible to build community. Yeah, it's and then there's always the stress of like when it goes live of like, okay, is everything? Did I do everything right? I mean, it's until I hear my songs playing on Spotify tomorrow, I'm going to be worried if like, did I upload the right mix? Is the right version going out?
So since we're on the computer and there's thousands of miles between us, but I got to hear it in real time. Does this qualify as a live performance?
I think it does. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I can say I played in Colorado tonight.
There you go. And I get to say I was at Billy's live performance. Sweet. What outside of what we would call protest songs or how did you frame it a minute ago? Storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah. What is your favorite song that you've done that's not in there?
My style has changed quite a bit. So, I mean, 15 years ago, with a lot of other people who played guitar, I had a much more poppy, like Jason Mraz style, which I've moved far away from, and I've removed that music from the internet. I think it may be out there still. Anyway,
nothing goes away on the internet.
So, that's true. That's why I'm nervous about interviews, right? But there was a song from my. Let's see. Is that a story? Now I'm overthinking what makes it a story. But there was a song from my previous album in 2018 called "Bless Your Heart," which is more of one of those kind of like, it's more of like an advice type of song. Of let me see. It's oh, don't be so quick to accept that you're wrong, and never assume you'll be missed when you're gone. The good ones will wait. The rest will move on. No matter their reasons, be kind. Oh, don't blame bad fortune for choices you've made. You'll come to find peace in a moment of grace. Oh, still I believe that we all can be saved. And patience will come in due time. All of the people that raised you up, those who have told you that you are enough, who gave you love when you asked for love, hold those ones closely. And bless your heart. And pray in this moment of silence and stay with me one more day. And bless your heart. This pain and all of this violence will one day soon fade away. It's kind of like, so it's, it's almost like a fatherly advice kind of song that flies directly in the face of everything else I'm writing right now. Because it's about kindness and forgiveness. And then all of a sudden I'm like, nope. My God, I just need to take a quick moment to mention how terrifying I think it was for every songwriter on the planet when that poor kid's video over the last couple of weeks, Brendan Abernathy, when the entire internet started making fun of this one kid's song. I mean, just endless amounts of people making mocking videos of it. And it was just this weird moment where I was like, have we all been abused so much by everything where we feel like we needed to punch down for a second?
How old are you about?
I'm 41.
So what advice do you have for the 18, 20 something guy that's, just got out of high school and he's trying to make a go of it as a musician?
That's a very good question. I was talking with my brother about this earlier today, about like what advice you give to, because musicians in general, it's hard to give advice that's meaningful. That's not just, follow your dreams. But I think getting comfortable finding out whatever your own voice is the hardest thing. I don't I think for up until the last few years, even still sometimes, you want to sound like something else because something else is tested and approved, and and you like it. And so if I can make more stuff like that, then that'll be good. But that stuff's kind of already been done. And I think being patient and knowing that it's not going to go, most likely not going to go super well, super quickly. And that you got to play a lot of bad shows and write a lot of bad songs. And even as you get better, you're still going to write bad songs. And I'm completely floored by like the followers that I picked up over the last 7 months, just because prior to that, I didn't have any. And so for that number and largely thanks to you, that number to go from whatever 500 to whatever it is now. I think I was still writing songs just because I wanted to. And I think if you don't just want to because you want to for your own sake, then it's hard to make sense of it because
the old do what you love and it's not a job.
I mean, it's still work, but it's work that you like. It's like my wife and kids go to bed and I come down here and I do this and because I want to do it and I like doing it. Unless you're touring, which I'm not, you can't make any money. So not doing it for that reason. It's just if you want to write songs and just keep doing it and hopefully it stays interesting for long enough where you can make it do something. And hopefully if you're not very good at it, enough people that you trust will tell you.
I was just wondering how much your wife gets involved with helping you and putting the brakes on maybe.
She's much more level-headed about stuff. Every once in a while, she'd be like, "All right, let's we got 4 years here. We can't do this like at this speed for 4 years." And
I don't know. I suspect he might give you more than enough material.
That's what I'm saying. She's telling me to back off, not him. He's not going to back off. And so having that is helpful. But I trust her as much as I trust more than I trust anybody else. There's still it's nice to be in a place where every once in a while you're like, I feel confident enough about this one. There's a song on my most recent record or album, whatever you want to call it, called Big Bird, and it's about NPR and all that. And I had her listen to the first verse or chorus, and by the end of it, she's like, "Nope, I don't want Big Bird getting shot in the head." And then. And I was like, I know these things aren't going to go away. I know Sesame Street's not going to go away. I know Terry Gross is not going anywhere or Steve Inskeep. But the fact that we have the people making decisions for our nation that would want to take money away from those things says something about who we are as a society. And it's supposed to be about that. It's not about Sesame Street actually going away. And I think it's interesting getting advice from people who actually support him to be like, aren't you a little bit worried about what your songs what problems they might cause? And you're like, aren't you worried that you support someone who makes you ask that question?
Exactly. Well, hopefully we'll get you on Tonight Show and The Late Show. And do you ever listen to Wait, Don't Tell Me?
Yes, I love Peter Sagal.
I love that show.
I love that show.
Every Saturday. So that's the other mission. We got to get you on Late Show, Tonight Show, and Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Perfect. I accept.
Okay. You heard that. You heard it, guys. That's the mission. We've got to make this happen.
No, I can't thank you enough. To me, a lot of people listen to the songs at this point. And you are so much of the reason that has happened. It's like every time you shared something or, whether it's a repost or you had a video about protest songwriters, and then people come and they just tell me how much they love you and how much they trust you. And then all of a sudden we have mutual,
as listeners. Much as I would love to take the credit, I'm not the man behind the mic. You are. So, I didn't write the songs. I didn't play the music. If it wasn't worth listening to, all you did was boost my credibility.
Well, it's mutual then. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. It's getting about that time. So any last words? You said you're working on your next song. You're going to release it tomorrow, you said? Or
it'll be, so the 20th is tomorrow, but this is going to be released. This video will be after that, right?
Yeah.
So It was
So,
released Friday.
okay. And
And it's called "The Bottom Has a Basement." It's a single, but it's got two other shorter songs on it. But the "Bottom Has a Basement" is kind of the main weight there. And yeah, I just I'm very meaningful. Thank you to everyone who has been listening already and has shared stuff. Trying to basically market this stuff or get people to hear it without making it seem like it's about me, right? This isn't about me, and it's not about you. It's about everything else that's happening,
right.
and trying to create community and solidarity and getting people aligned. Is I think it's a tightrope.
Well, you're the first of hopefully several musicians I'll have on over the coming months or however long I succeed at this podcast thing. Um, so thank you for being my first. Thank you
Absolutely.
for taking the time because I am a huge fan. And everybody who's watching, go to Spotify, Apple, all of the places, YouTube Music, all the places. And when you see them on TikTok and YouTube, share, copy the link, share it on Blue Sky, everywhere you can, because there's no such thing as too many people hearing what Billy has to say.
Thank you, Ben.
So
Thank you so much for having me here, and thanks for talking with me and
it
for
truly
sharing your
was
time.
my pleasure. And next week, folks, I'll be talking to Dr. Kyle Ireton. You guys, a lot of you will know him as Kyle I, PhD. I can't wait to ask him, how does a neuroscientist become a guy who's traveling around the country and interviewing and trying to promote candidates for various level offices that are flying below the establishment radar? Because that's how I came to know him. Last campaign, he was helping candidates all over the country to get more name recognition and get the vote out and things like that. He truly is amazing, and I can't wait to find out how a neuroscientist becomes that guy. So that'll be next week. In the meantime, thanks again, Billy, and thanks everybody for watching. Good day.